me apart. You're bigger than the universe. You're bigger than the sun.
Shout, they building. Now they begin to build the wall, and the first point of reference, or the first point of contact, that it states that they built the wall up into the point of the Tower of 100. Because it says now that our feet have been standing within your gates. Keep in mind now that this is the song that was popped in when they left outside of their house. This was the song that they put in on the way to their journey. But the psalmist had enough of information and had enough wherewithal to say, I can see my feet on the inside of the gate. In other words, I can see what I do not yet have. And if you're going to have a great experience on the inside of the house of the Lord, you have to be able to see some things before you get it. You got to be able to see yourself receiving some things even before you actually get it. And that's the reason that we can't have a pleasurable experience on the inside of church, because we can't see ourselves receiving anything until it actually hits us. And the reason, newsflash, the reason some things are not actually hitting you is because you can't see it first. It is your faith, now faith. That is the thing that you hold on to when you can't see what you're trying to receive. That is your evidence of the things that you hope for when you can't see them. And if you can't see anything, your attitude is, why should I go to church anyway? Because after all, nothing will change. The same old rut that I'm in will be the same old rut that I walk out with. And your mindset begins to ponder on the inside of your head, and you can never have a great experience inside of the house of the Lord because you can't see things before you receive it. You can't see anything that God has for you. We can't see down the road. The only thing that we can see is right in front of us. And then we'll proclaim that my God is an awesome God, that he reigns forever and ever, and he has all power. And we put more trust in a GPS than we do God. You can't see where you're going. You have no idea where you're going. But if the GPS says turn right, you have enough faith in it that you will follow. But yet and still, we can't see anything as it relates to what God can do in our life. And we have a terrible experience when we come into God's house because we can't see anything before we get it. And then we walk out with a bad experience because God hasn't done what he wants to do in your life as of yet. And your mindset is it hadn't happened yet, so that church experience for me was a bad one. No, you just need to be able to know that God has your back, and what you cannot see does not mean that you will not have. But we have bad experience when we come to God's house simply because we can't see what we yet do not have. Oh, but this #1 hit song, it gives us some more lyrics, that gives us some good information that will allow us to have a great experience inside of God's house. Then it says, now our feet have been standing within your gates, O Jerusalem. Keep in mind that they're still en route. Then it says now that Jerusalem is built as a city that is compacted together. Then it says this is where the tribes go up. In other words, now it says this is the place where the tribes go up. So they had an understanding that somebody was going to be different when they got there. Because not all of the tribes did the same thing. Not all of the tribes came from the same lineage. not all of the tribes receive the same thing. And we'll come into church, we expect everybody to be just like me. And if you're not like me, I don't have a good experience at church because you didn't think like me, you didn't act like me, you didn't dress like me, you didn't talk like me, your hair wasn't fixed like my hair was fixed, you didn't have the same suit that I had on. Matter of fact, you didn't even smell like me because the cologne that I like, you don't like, and my cologne is the only cologne that's in at this time. We got to understand that when you get to God's house, that things will be different as it relates to people. But we have bad experience in God's house simply because people are different. Child, don't you know I had a bad experience at church today? Well, what happened, Mary? Child, I just got so bogged down with the service because I was listening to the pastor preach, and then I looked over there at Sister Susie. Did you see that dress that Sister Susie had on? That made for a bad experience for me at church. Sister Susie knows that the length of a dress needs to be down here. How dare she not get that thing taped as to where it should be? Because we don't understand that when we get to God's house, there are different tribes, there are different walks of life, there are different journeys that people are on, but we all need to come together in order to have a great experience at God's house. But once your mindset becomes, when I get there, there are going to be other tribes outside of me. If you're going to have a good experience inside of God's house, there's a difference in people. How dare you let your experience not be good because of other people? What makes you so right anyway? What makes your style so good? I'm trying to have a good experience at church. But I tell you, them people down there just don't act like I do. And my experience of church was a bad one. Matter of fact, I probably would never go back. Just because they were different. Some powerful lyrics in this top hit. It says, Jerusalem is built as a city that's compacted together where the tribes go up to give testimony and give thanks to the Lord. I want to give this next point to you. As they begin to say, pray for peace of Jerusalem. May they prosper who love you. If you're ever going to change your attitude to a place that will allow you to seek good from the interaction at church, somebody shout, I need to be praying before I get there. I need to be praying before I get there. Our mindset is, I'll come to church and I'll lay down this awesome prayer. Oh, when I get to church, I hope they call on me to pray because I got one tied up on the inside of me that I need to let go. I got to get this prayer. Matter of fact, if they don't call on me to pray, then I guess I'll just keep this powerful prayer to me until they do. If you're going to have a great experience at church, you have to change your mindset, and you have to have something on the inside of you that says, I got to pray before I get there. For it is prayer that changes things. It is prayer that changes situations. And if you're looking to have a great experience on the inside of the house of the Lord, why wouldn't you talk to God about it before you got there? If you're dealing with something, and let's say, for instance, you got an issue with how tribes come in, and you want your experience to be a good one, why not talk to God before you get there and ask him to show him you? Pray before you get to church. Are we praying, or are we just waiting on the pastor to call me? Do you spend time with God on a continual basis? Or if who's ever running service didn't call you down to pray, it's all bogged on the inside of you. Change your mindset as it relates to prayer. Pray at home. Pray in your car. Pray on your job. Prayer isn't just for Sunday mornings, but it's for Monday, Tuesday, when you're not feeling good, Wednesday, when you feel bogged down, Thursday, when you feel like you can't make it, Friday, when you want to toss in the towel, Saturday, when you say this cannot be for me. Pray. So here's the top hit of the day. It's telling them to pray for God's people, that they may prosper for the ones that love you. Then they say, the songwriter gives the lyrics. It says, peace within your walls. They probably put a little scratch on that one, a little remix on that one. Peace be within your walls. That's probably when they had a sequel and a remix on that one. Peace be in your wall. The hit had already dropped, but that was the sequel. That was the remix. Peace be within your walls. Because so often than not, we find ourselves keep repeating that psalm over and over and over again. Peace be in your walls. But I want to submit to you today, if you're ever going to change your attitude to a place that will allow you to seek a good interaction and have a good experience at church, you have to be able to keep peace within the walls. Are you a peacekeeper? Or are you just someone that talk about peace? Because it's so easy to say we need peace on the inside of church. But what do you do about it? No doubt the songwriter figured you would have that question. So they began to get another segment, another lyric of a song. And it says, for the sake of my brethren and companions. Somebody shout, that's us. Yeah, it says, for your sake, if you're looking for peace on the inside of the walls, it says, peace be within you. So often than not, we'll say, I want peace on the inside of the church, but we don't even look at ourselves. And the fact of the matter is, if you get peace on the inside of you, then peace will be on the inside of the walls. Somebody might get mad at me on that one. Because you might say, Pastor, oh, it ain't me. It's just everybody in here that's not keeping the peace. No, think about it. If you make an effort to keep peace on the inside of you and everybody else did the same thing, then peace will come on the inside of the wall. You can't worry about what the next person does, but you can definitely control what you do. And if you want to have a good experience as it relates to coming into God's house, peace needs to be on the inside of the walls, and that peace starts within you. Where are all my peacemakers at? That should have sparked up something in somebody and say, you know what? Peace will be on the inside of these walls because I'll make myself a one-person committee to make sure that peace is on the inside of me. When I get here, peace is on the inside of me. When I'm on my way, peace is on the inside of me. When I'm getting dressed in the morning, peace is on the inside of me. When I pull out my cereal, my Frosted Flakes, my Captain Crunch, peace is on the inside of me. Because I know once I hit the walls of God's house, I will have peace in the walls if it's on the inside of me. The number one hit says peace on the inside of you. So here they go as they begin now to make their way out to God's house. They got their number one hit song playing. And then it comes down to the last lyric of the song. And it says, peace be within you. It says, because of the house of the Lord our God, I will seek your good. I want to close on this note, but I want to point out a couple things in that last bit of text. It says, because of the house of our God. In other words, they knew who the owner of the house was. They acknowledged who the owner of the house was. I remember growing up, and I can't really say they were friends, but I had so-called friends, associates, if you would.